Huesca Barça, and the Valencian derby. Some teams are battling for survival, while others have higher ambitions.
We'll also be taking a look back at last weekend's action, which saw Barcelona take a giant stride.
On this week's La Liga show, we'll be giving you the lowdown on a thrilling match day featuring key clashes such as Huesca Barça and the Valencian derby. Some teams are battling for survival, while others have higher ambitions.
We'll also be taking a look back at last weekend's action, which saw Barcelona take a giant stride far and away Real Madrid's best player this season. French striker led Los Blancos comeback against Eibar with two fine headers. After remaining fourth place in the table for the seventh consecutive game. They beat Athletic Club at the Coliseum far and away Real Madrid's best player this season. French striker led Los Blancos comeback against Eibar with two fine headers. It's after remaining fourth place in the table for the seventh consecutive game. They beat Athletic Club at the Coliseum thanks to Angel, who got the only goal of the match. Among the many great performances last weekend was a superb display from Iago Aspas. After 5 goals in 3 matches, the Galician striker single-handedly lifted Celta out of the relegation zone. Rayo, who are still battling away at the bottom of the table, and now under the charge of Paco Gémez, ended Valencia's spectacular run. At Montilivi, Sergi Darder settled the Catalan derby with a brace. Levante and Huesca played out a draw, which did neither team any good in efforts to avoid a relegation. If life is hotting up in the lower reaches of the league, the battle for Europe is equally fierce. A battle in which Alaves seem to be fading, while in the lead-up to this weekend's thrilling clash, both Sevilla and Giovanni Lo Celso's Real Betis came away with crucial wins.
Hi everyone, I'm Giovanni Lo Celso, I play for Real Betis. Now let's take a look at the best goals from last weekend.
Roque Mesa on the right foot in the corner! He's done it, the substitute! Camaros finds Roque Mesa on the field, doing the business. And Sevilla, this time, to go ahead. And that is a bitter blow, fall by the lid. Roque Mesa. Alba. Suarez. Oh! Luis Suarez! That's a number 9's goal. Up comes the shirt. That's a goal that Barca are celebrating. And so it means La Liga's theirs. Not even Jan Oblak could get to that one. By La Guardia. Jonathan Silva. Santos has done well there. Jonathan Silva scored! What a goal that is! Well, they've scored a few special goals this season, Leganés, but that probably tops the lot. And they've salvaged a point in injury time. The 92nd minute. Jonathan Silva, who knows if he meant it. Matchday 31 treated us to the big game between Barça and Atletico. Before the match, Leo Messi received the award for the best player of the month. He later showed his worth in a valuable triumph in which he was once again on target. After 335 wins, he's now the player to have won the most games in the history of La Liga. Celta managed to escape the relegation zone thanks to a victory over Real Sociedad. Their win owed a lot to Iago Aspas, and here are his team's results since his comeback. The Benito Villamarin witnessed a superb match between Betis and Villarreal.
Santi Cazorla left the match a disappointed man after missing a crucial penalty. Later, the Sevillian club paid tribute to him and his contribution to the game of football. The win helped prepare the ground for the forthcoming derby. We end with what was, without doubt, the big news of the weekend. The announcement that Joaquin Caparrós is suffering from chronic leukemia. La Liga has rallied around the Sevilla coach with messages of support.
With just 21 points to play for, Barca are now 11 points ahead of Atletico and 13 in front of Real Madrid. Getafe are still in a Champions League spot. After 4 match days, Celta have been replaced in the relegation zone by Villarreal, who are on the same number of points as Real Valladolid. Rayo and Huesca occupy the bottom 2 spots. After yet another goal, Messi is well ahead in the race to be top marksman. He's followed by Luis Suarez and Christian Stuani, who are also on target. Benzema is now 4th. Here's the schedule for matchday 32 of the Championship. Standout games have to be the 2 derbies at the Anoeta and Butarque, the Valencian derby, and the big derby between Sevilla and Real Betis. The leaders will be playing in their first ever La Liga game at the Alcoraz. There's also everything to play for in the clashes between Girona and Villarreal and Atletico against Celta.
It's all been decided. Or has it? The two ends of the table come face to face this weekend at the Alcoraz, and Barcelona make their first ever league visit to the Aragonese club stadium. Huesca refused to accept a destiny that seems to get clearer and clearer.
Be on the back of his shirt now does have Agnew. It will be he who takes the free kick, flips it up and over to the far post, and this into the back of the net, and Enrique Gallego.
They've spent 25 match days in the relegation zone, all of them except one in the bottom spot.
On the sidelines, that's a good ball up into the air, and it drops down. And Chimiavila makes it 2-2. What a game!
The threat of relegation looms large in Aragon, but as the club motto goes, no turning back. 6 points from safety, and with 21 points still up for grabs, throwing in the towel does not enter into the club's plans.
Why not? We saw what we could do against Real Madrid. Although they beat us, we put up a really good fight. They're very tough opponents who make things very difficult. But they've got to have a bad day sometime, and we've shown in La Liga that we can compete with anyone.
In front of them, the league leaders, who are all set on getting hold of the league title as soon as they possibly can.
Alba, Suarez. Oh, Luis Suarez!
The victory over their closest rivals, Atletico, increased Barca's cushion at the top of the table to 11 points.
It's Leo Messi, and what a challenge! It comes back to Messi. Oh!
A lead that bodes well for their title aspirations. But embroiled in the Champions League and with 7 games to go, and Ernesto Valverde's side can't afford to slip up if they want to maintain their grip on the championship. Piqué and Luis Suarez are both suspended for the match, while Arturo Vidal returns to the club's ranks. Huesca are not finished yet, and still hoping for a last-minute miracle to maintain the La Liga status. They need a result against the leaders, who'll be hoping they can avoid any slip-ups and get their hands on the title as soon as possible.
It's not often that there's been so much to play for in a Valencian derby. Mestalla brings together 2 neighbours with very different aims, but both with an urgent need to grab the 3 points which take them closer to fulfilling their respective objectives for the season. Valencia come into this tie on the back of another derby, a midweek Europa League clash against Villarreal. Despite being in contention on a number of fronts, including a Copa del Rey final, Loche's first priority has to be the 4th spot in the table, which would guarantee them a Champions League spot. In order to do that, they need a home win against a troubled Levante side. After setting off on a poor run of 4 defeats and 3 draws, the worst spell in Paco Lopez's year-long tenure at the club, they're now in deep trouble. Just 3 points separate them from the dreaded relegation zone.
We've got very different objectives, but right now it's very tight in La Liga, both at the top and at the bottom. At the end of the day, we're both battling for 3 very precious points, which will help take us to where we want to be.
Morales does well into the area, puts it across the far post, and Levante have the lead. Brilliant work from Morales, and it's Roger.
The Levante fans will be putting their faith in 2 stalwarts, Roger and Morales, to see them through the derby. The 2 of them have netted half of their team's goals so far this season. Sergio Postillo, injured last time out against Huesca, will miss the match. So too will Valencia's Kondogbia, who's undergone surgery and will be out for the rest of the season. Roncaglia and Ferran Torres, who saw their 5th yellow last weekend, are also unavailable for selection. Levante have never beaten their biggest rivals at the Mestalla, but Paco Lopez's side are in dire straits and in urgent need of a victory. Valencia, now 4 points off a Champions League spot and with scores to settle after the clubs met earlier this season, will be going all out for a win. Only one team can come out on top in this crucial clash.
Lionel Messi just can't stop breaking records. Last time out, after Barcelona's victory over Atletico Madrid, the Argentinian striker became the footballer to have won the most games in La Liga, overtaking the legendary Iker Casillas. After that triumph, the Barca number 10 now occupies the top place in a list dominated by players from Real Madrid and Barcelona. Bearing in mind Messi's historic achievement, today's question is: which footballer who hasn't played for either Barcelona or Real Madrid has won the most games in La Liga? Donato, Raúl García, or Gavi? Have a good think. We'll be back with the answer at the end of the show.
Espanyol faced Deportivo Alavés at the RCTE Stadium in the first game of the weekend. Both teams are desperate for a victory.
Sends the ball in here. It's not cleared very far, and Darder with the strike. What a goal! What a finish from Sergi Darder!
After winning the derby against Girona, the home side are eager to have an untroubled end to the season and even hold out for the remote possibility of qualifying for Europe. Vito Abelardo's outfit, on the other hand, will be going all out to end their poor run of form. If they manage that, they'll be back in contention for a European spot. They will, however, be without both Tomas Pina and Martin Aguirre Gaviria.
Only a win will suffice at the Wanda Metropolitano. Atletico can't afford to drop any more points if they want to keep their title hopes alive. After the hard-fought battle at the Camp Nou, Diego Costa, Tomas and Jimenez will all miss the game due to suspension. Delta are on a bit of a high after climbing out of the relegation zone, but there's still a very long way to go.
Atletico Madrid are a great team who will be keen to win at home in front of their fans. We're in a similar position. We'll try and play our game and do the best we can. We really need the 3 points if we want to keep progressing, so let's hope we can do it.
Debus returns it, and the cross looks tasty. That is a beautiful...
Main man and felt his fight back, Iago Aspas is on 5 yellows and will miss the clash. His team will also be without the injured Bryce Mendez and David Junca.
Valladolid will be facing Getafe in what is as good as a final. Sergio González's side have the poorest goal-scoring record in the championship and are in a precarious position. Nothing more than a win will do if they're to avoid dropping into the danger zone. The Madrid side, who've occupied a Champions League spot for 7 match days, will be desperate for a victory against the team from Castile. One of the most impressive Getafe players, Jaime Mata, will be facing his old team.
A game of contrast at San Mamés. Atletico are in contention for a European spot, while Rayo are going all out to escape relegation. The Bilbao side, unbeaten at home since Garitano's arrival in the dugout, must be firm favourites. They'll be without the suspended San Jose, but have Iker Muniain back in the ranks, and he scored in the 1-1 draw early in the season.
Pressure has forced to a turnover, and it's in Barber drilling it in, and Rayo take the lead!
After the win against Valencia, him and his side will be doing their very best to keep their hopes of survival alive against the Basque club.
Basque derby between Real Sociedad and Eibar at the Anoeta will be crucial in determining both clubs' futures. Imanol Alguacil's side are a point ahead of their opponents and will be doing their best, despite a long injury list and Willian Jos's suspension, to bounce back after the defeat at Balaidos and increase that gap. Mendilibar's side are in a similar quandary as far as results and injuries are concerned. A win will do their European hopes no end of good.
Have been having a hard time of it at Montalivi. Eusebio's side have only won twice at home so far this season. They'll be going into this crucial relegation battle against Villarreal without Granil and Douglas Luiz.
We've got to be united and determined and work our socks off if we want to change our dynamic and get back to winning ways.
Vallecas side are back in the relegation zone after last weekend's disappointing defeat at Betis. From now on, every game is a final. The first of those will be against Girona.
Leganés have done well at Butarque against the big clubs this season. Neither Barcelona nor Atletico managed to come away with a win. Now, it's Real Madrid's turn.
We feel comfortable at Butarque. We seem to be on top of things and at our best in front of our fans. We're going all out to grab the 3 valuable points.
Penalty here, there's a good ball up into the centre there, and Benzema with a downward header, and Real Madrid are level.
Zinedine Zidane's side, who will have the suspended Marcelo back in their ranks, will be determined to have the best of this encounter and get back into the title race. With 7 games to go, there's still time for surprises.
It's a very special game for both us and the fans.
Es un partido especial.
Plays it over, it's headed in.
The whole squad knows how important this game is for the club.
Nasri floats the free kick in. It's guided past the goalkeeper.
It's always a very special game in which emotions run high. We're at home this time in front of our fans. They're going to be right behind us, and with their help, we'll do our very best to win the game. It's like the final of a big tournament for us. The city comes to a stop, the two teams are wound up for it. For someone like me who's come through the academy, it's a pleasure and a privilege to play in a game like this.
The Seville derby has come around once again. This weekend, the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan hosts the big celebration of Sevillan football. It's always a very special game, and even more so this time as it'll be decisive in determining the outcome of both teams' European aspirations.
Roque Mesa on the right foot in the corner!
On the one side, Sevilla Football Club, who come into the game on 49 points, and after their triumph at the Zorrilla, just one off a Champions League spot.
The ball out to Promise. Brian has two to pick out. It's in the corner. Munir gets his first goal.
Andres Guardado slides it through. Lo Celso with a lovely dink. Oh, it's a beauty.
On the other, Real Betis Balompié. They're 6 points less than their neighbours after beating Villarreal in the prequel to this thrilling encounter. They're now just 3 points off of placing the Europa League.
Alex goes on the outside this time. Teo with the ball in. Chance for Lo Celso. Another one for Lo Celso. This time he finds the back of the net. It's a brace for the...
Both coaches will inevitably play a key role in this enthralling clash. Quique Setien's possession game against the passion of Joaquin Caparrós, who after 3 wins in 4 games has reignited Sevilla's campaign. Last weekend, Caparrós announced the fact that he's suffering from chronic leukemia. A sad announcement that will no doubt spur his players on to coming away with a very special victory. Sevilla's main doubt will be the fitness of their keeper. If Thomas Barkley doesn't make the lineup, then academy player Juan Soriano will be making his debut in a Seville derby. As for the visitors, they're still waiting to see if Sergio Canales, who was injured in the clash with Villarreal, will be able to make the starting 11. In the last few derbies, Betis have managed to overturn Sevilla's recent domination of the clash. When they met earlier this season, the Green and Whites came away with a narrow victory thanks to a goal from Joaquin. On their last visit to the Pizjuan, Setien's team came out on top in a spectacular 5-3 triumph. Sevilla have Europe on their mind as they come into what promises to be an action-packed derby. 90 minutes of pure passion, with both sets of fans wearing their hearts on their sleeves. It's the big game of matchday 32 in La Liga Santander.
On this week's La Liga show quiz, taking into account Messi's record number of wins in La Liga, we asked you which footballer who hasn't played for either Barcelona or Real Madrid has won the most games in the Spanish Championship. And the correct answer is Donato. With 235 wins under his belt, Donato heads the list of players in La Liga to win the most games without appearing for either Barcelona or Real Madrid.